Where are all my mystery lovers at? Today I am here to share my top 10 favorite Agatha Christie mysteries. Hello book friends, I'm Jen and welcome to my reading life and welcome to my top 10 favorite Agatha Christie mysteries of all time, of the ones I've read so far, which are quite a lot. I've read quite a few Agatha Christie's. I don't have that many mysteries of hers left to read, and I thought this might be a good time to share the books that I recommend and which are my favorites. I've actually ranked them from 10 to 1, and so we are going to go through them all. I'm going to share a little bit about each of them and why I love them. So grab yourself a cup of tea because of course, if we're reading Agatha Christie or talking about Agatha Christie, we need to have our cup of tea, and let's get into the books. I've been reading Agatha Christie mysteries since I was a teenager, and I think, like many people, I probably read some of her most famous works first, from And Then There Were None to Murder on the Orient Express. And over the decades, I have read many of her mysteries, and I am a huge, huge fan of Agatha Christie. And even a bad Agatha Christie, in my book, is still a good book. I'd much rather read a bad Agatha Christie than a bad anything else, I think. Quite a few of the books on my list I have read more than once, and the ones that I haven't read more than once, I definitely want to. But without further ado, let us just dive into my list. And coming in at number 10, we have A Caribbean Mystery. And this is a Miss Marple mystery. And it is one where we see Miss Marple taken out of St. Mary Mead, and she has been flown off on a Caribbean vacation. Her nephew, Raymond, who appears in many of the stories about Miss Marple, has treated her to this trip, and she is off for some rest and relaxation, but not for long. She meets a Major Palgrave staying at the same resort that she is staying at, and he's one of those characters which I think is kind of typical in an Agatha Christie novel. She loves to have that sort of older gentleman, often someone who is in the military, who loves to tell stories that nobody wants to listen to. But then usually our sleuth does pay somewhat attention to this person, and that is a clue to them solving the mystery. So Major Palgrave is sharing a story to which most people are not really listening, and then he is subsequently found dead, murdered. And it is up to Miss Marple to solve the case. There are a couple of things that I really enjoy about this particular Miss Marple mystery, and that is one of the things that I struggle with in Miss Marple books is that she often takes a back seat and we don't get to see very much of her. And I love her as a character and I always want more. But in this one, she is very much center stage. We get lots of interactions with her and we see lots of scenes with her, and she's in the book from the beginning to the end, and I absolutely love that. And then I really do love the Caribbean setting of this. It is fun to go someplace hot in an Agatha Christie mystery. She often set some of her novels in the Middle East, and this is one that's kind of an outlier that we find ourselves in the Caribbean, and so I love the uniqueness of the setting in this one, and I highly recommend this. If you're looking for something to take with you to read on the beach this summer, definitely grab A Caribbean Mystery. And coming in at number 9, we have The Seven Dials Mystery. And it's funny because when I was putting together my list for this video, I was looking at some of the reviews of this mystery, and it actually did not get very good reviews, and a lot of people don't like it. We actually follow some of the same characters from The Secret of the Chimneys, or The Secret of Chimneys, not sure. And either way, we have some characters that cross over into this one. So I would probably recommend, if you're going to read The Seven Dials, read The Secret of Chimneys first, just so you can get introduced to those characters, and then you'll meet them again in this one. But in this one, we are back at Chimneys, which is the home of Sir Oswald and Lady Coote. And in this, they're having a house party, and there are several young gentlemen guests, and one of the young gentlemen is notoriously known for oversleeping. And so as a practical joke, some of the other men place a whole bunch of alarm clocks in his room one night. And then the next morning, this young man is found dead and one of the clocks is missing. But truly, what really makes The Seven Dials a mystery that I really loved was the character of Bundle. And while we meet her in the first book I mentioned, The Secret of Chimneys, she plays center stage in this one and is our young, intrepid female sleuth, which many of Agatha Christie's standalone novels feature a young woman like that. And I absolutely adored Bundle, and that is really what took this mystery over the top for me. Lots of people prefer The Secret of Chimneys to this one, but I actually really loved this one. I think this is a little kind of pairing of books that I'm gonna have to go back and read again back to back. So that might be a little project for next year, is to reread some books and kind of take a deeper look at them. And I think pairing these two together is a really fun way to read them. And I definitely recommend doing that you read Chimneys and then you read The Seven Dials, and then you can kind of have that closure of that entire story. But this is a really good mystery, I think, very solid, and I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments, because like I said, this one has a bit of mixed reviews on it, but I am definitely in the camp of enjoying The Seven Dials. And coming in at number 8 on my list is Murder in Mesopotamia. I love Agatha Christie's books that she set in exotic foreign locations, and she really loved setting books in the Middle East. She spent a lot of time there with her second husband, Max Mallowan, who was an archaeologist. And she accompanied him to a lot of archaeological dig sites. And so she is very familiar with that area, with the terrain. And in Murder in Mesopotamia, we get to see that spotlighted as this takes place on an archaeological dig. And I really enjoy this one. This is a Poirot mystery, but Poirot, it doesn't figure as prominently in this one as he does in some of the other Poirot mysteries. And really, we are being told this story by Nurse Leatherin. And I really love her. I think she's a fantastic narrator for this story. She really kind of adds a gravitas to it that I really appreciated. But if you are at all interested in archaeology, then I highly recommend Murder in Mesopotamia. I just adored this one. I've read it twice and I'm kind of getting in the mood to read it again. And then coming in the number 7 spot is one of Agatha Christie's most famous mysteries, and that is The Murder on the Orient Express. I think if you are at all familiar with Agatha Christie, you are familiar with the story of Murder on the Orient Express. And in Murder on the Orient Express, we are obviously on a train journey, and Hercule Poirot is one of the passengers. When a man is murdered, he is stabbed a dozen times, and it is up to Poirot to figure out who done it. And I think what makes this such a wonderful mystery is the clever twist that Agatha Christie puts on this. Some of her mysteries, I think, were the first of their kind, that the way she plotted the mystery and the whodunit was something no one else had done before. And I think this is a fantastic example of that. I mean, perhaps it was done before, but not in the way that she did this, where we've got this sort of a locked room. A train is a locked room because nobody can go anywhere. They are trapped on this moving train. And I really think it's fantastic. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend this one. This is a great place to start with Agatha Christie, and particularly with Poirot, if you're interested in reading the mysteries featuring him. But this one is famous for a reason, and I love it too. And I'm going to follow up that very famous mystery with another one of Agatha Christie's most famous mysteries. Coming in at number 6 is And Then There Were None. This is such a classic, and a classic for a reason. Again, it does a construct where I think Agatha Christie was doing something that other mystery writers had not done before. So we have a group of 10 strangers, and they have been summoned to an island off the coast of Devon by their millionaire host, who is nowhere to be found when they arrive. And one by one, everybody starts being murdered. And this is a great book to just go along for the ride, try to figure out who done it in this one. And I have a feeling you might not if you've never read it and you don't know the ending. But I also think this is a great one to reread because you can really see all of the clues that Agatha Christie plants throughout the novel as she goes along. And that is really evident once you know what the answer is. So I find it really fun to go back and reread her books when I know what's going to happen, because it just gives you more of an insight to looking for all of those clues. And she was really, really adept at hiding clues in plain sight. And this is a perfect example of that. I also do want to recommend, if you enjoy audiobooks, the audiobook version of And Then There Were None, read by Dan Stevens, is fantastic. I cannot recommend it enough, and I believe it might be an Audible exclusive, but I will link the audiobook in the description box below because I think it is highly worth listening to if you enjoy audiobooks, and this one he is just perfect. And now we are heading into the top 5 of my favorite Agatha Christie mysteries. And coming in at number 5 is The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. And I have read this again twice. And again, on my second reading, I really clued into all of those little clues and hints that she dropped along the way to reveal who the murderer was. And very, very clever. Some people are a little put off by the ending of this and the reveal of whodunit, but I think this is fantastically clever, incredibly well plotted, and a really good look at the genius that Agatha Christie was. In this, we actually have 2 deaths. The first is a widow who appears to die from an overdose, and then not 24 hours later, Roger Ackroyd, the man she was about to marry, is murdered. And it is up to Poirot to come in and figure out who done it. And in this one, you really get to see Poirot at his prime. I think he is fantastic in this book, and Christie clearly had not gotten tired of him yet at this point. She was really at the peak of writing her Poirot novels with this one, and it is another excellent example at how good she was at her craft. And then my 4th favorite Agatha Christie novel is Ordeal by Innocence. And in this one, we have a murder that has already happened a long time ago. The person who was accused was already convicted and tried and has actually just recently died in prison. And the murderer was Jacko, who had been accused of bludgeoning his mother to death. And then onto the scene walks Dr. Calgary, and he comes to the family home and tells them that it couldn't possibly have been Jacko because at the time that the murder was taking place, he was giving Jacko a lift in his car. And the reason the doctor has not come forward is because he was subsequently in an accident and had lost some of his short-term memory, but it has just come back to him, and now he has come to set the record straight. Clearly, the family is distraught. I mean, Jacko has died, so it sort of seems like, why is this happening? But this is really, really a good kind of psychological study as opposed to just a straightforward, like, locked room mystery or something like that. And I really appreciated the nuance of that. And while it was clear that somebody in the family was involved, I had no idea who it was until the reveal. And I love it when she can keep me guessing until the very, very end, even though I feel very clever when I do figure out who done it in one of her mysteries, but I've only done that a few times. But I do recommend The Ordeal of Innocence if you're looking for something that's slightly different than her usual straightforward murder mystery plot. And now for my top 3 Agatha Christie mysteries, and coming in the 3rd spot is Sad Cypress. And this is one I don't hear often talked about, but I absolutely adore this mystery. In this, we have Eleanor Carlisle, and she is on trial for murder. She had means, motive, and opportunity, but did she do it? Hercule Poirot is called in to figure that out. Then the story moves us back in time, and we are in the few months leading up to the murder, and slowly the plot unfolds. This book is so well paced, and I could not put it down. I think it is incredibly well plotted, and I think it is up there with some of her most famous mysteries, and I'm not sure why it is a little bit one of those that's under the radar in terms of people having read Agatha Christie, but I think this one is phenomenal. Once again, she lays out all the clues for us, but I did not see them until the reveal, and then it all made perfect sense. Absolutely loved this one. highly, highly recommend. And then in the number 2 spot, we have another Miss Marple mystery, and that is The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side. And in this one, we have a young woman. She is a fan of a movie star, and when she meets her idol, she kind of spends some time gushing about her, and then this young woman drops dead from poison. For all intents and purposes, it appears that the movie star was actually the target of the poison, but it is up to Miss Marple to find out what is actually the truth. This book, I could not turn the pages fast enough. I was completely engrossed in the story of this. The twist and the reveal at the end of this is just so good. I highly, highly recommend this one. It is my favorite Miss Marple by far. I absolutely adored this, and that's why it is in the number 2 spot. And that just leaves us with the number 1 spot. And my very favorite Agatha Christie of all time is They Came to Baghdad. Again, this is another one of her books that I don't feel like gets the recognition that it deserves. I absolutely love this book. I've read it twice, maybe 3 times. Oh, I just love it so, so much. So Baghdad is holding a superpower summit, and there is a secret organization that is out to sabotage this summit. Into this scenario walks our plucky, intrepid young heroine, Victoria Jones, who finds a spy who was sent to stop this sabotage that was being planned. But he is found dying in Victoria's hotel room, and he has 3 final dying words, and they don't make any sense to Victoria, but she has to figure out exactly what's going on. And this is just sort of a fast-paced, fantastic, what is going to happen, almost a bit of like a spy thriller type of a feel to it. And as I've mentioned before, I absolutely love when we've got a plucky, intrepid young heroine who's going to solve the mystery for us in an Agatha Christie book, and Victoria Jones is my absolute favorite. I adore her. I think she is a wonderful protagonist, and I cannot sing the praises of this highly enough. Again, we find ourselves in that Middle East setting, which Agatha Christie knew so well, and that really shines through in this book. I love it. I'll read it again and again. Fantastic. My number 1 Agatha Christie mystery. Those are my top 10 Agatha Christie mysteries. So these don't include any of the books that Agatha Christie wrote as Mary Westmacott, which I've only read 1 of those so far, though I have a few other on my shelf to read. But I highly recommend all 10 of these, and I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. But I do want to give a shout out to one other book that wasn't written by Agatha Christie exclusively, but I think is a really fun book to have in your collection if you're an Agatha Christie fan, and that is Agatha Christie's Complete Secret Notebooks. So these were compiled with the help of Agatha Christie's estate. John Curran was allowed to go and look through all of Agatha Christie's notebooks and compile them for this book. So in here you can actually go through and see all of the notes that she made while she was planning out her different mysteries. Not all of them give you like complete information. Some of them are just jottings, thoughts, notes, words, phrases, but it is really fun to kind of see her process. She had lots of notebooks scattered throughout her home, and she was always just picking one up anytime she had an idea, and she would jot it down. Some things came to fruition, some things didn't, but this is a really, really fun companion to go along with the reading of the books. And what I like to do is read the book and then look through the notes for that particular title in here. And it's just kind of fun to get a little kind of insight into how she came about writing that particular story. So I definitely recommend this if you're a big Agatha Christie fan. Let us chat all things Agatha Christie down in the comments. I would love to hear from you. What is your favorite Agatha Christie book? Do we share any favorites from my top 10 list? Let me know which books of hers you absolutely adore. Now, just because these are my top 10 doesn't mean I don't love a number of other books, and it was hard for me to leave off a few of the books that I didn't mention today. I would have to say The Mysterious Affair at Styles Ooh, that's a really close one to my top 10. That is a fantastic mystery, and it is her very first. So I think you can kind of tell a little bit that it was her first mystery, so it's maybe not quite as well plotted as some of her later ones, but gives a good indication of where she was going to go from there. If you've never read Agatha Christie before, then definitely give that one a try. I think it is actually a pretty good place to start. But definitely share all your thoughts about Agatha Christie in the comments below. And if you don't have anything that you'd like to add in the comments, why don't you leave me a little emoji of either the little detective with the spyglass or just the spyglass itself or something along those lines that's sort of like mysterious. I do love seeing those emojis. Comments really help my channel, and I love knowing that you were here and that you made it this far in the video. And if you did enjoy this, if you could hit that like button and subscribe if you aren't already subscribed, I would love to have you join my bookish community. I'd like to give a little extra shout out to those of you who pressed the super thanks button on my last video. And as always, I will be back with another video very soon. Bye!